So in 2015, only 88% of high school students graduated on time from Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, according to the released information by North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. Although this clearly shows significant increase over the last 5 years, we still had 1,192 students that either dropped out or fell behind schedule. And as we all know, time is money. So holding our high school students monetarily responsible for the classes that they fail would not only benefit our students, but our community as a whole. As a graduate from West Mecklenburg High School, where our graduation rate was actually 85%, I became intrigued at the amount that was invested per individual student. After looking at our budget, I realized that the expenditure per pupil is outrageous. Each and every one of us do contribute financially to our local schools, whether it's indirect or direct. The way that students perform is definitely affecting us more than we think. So today I would like to present to you guys an overview of the school budget for CMS, and then show you how this kind of interferes with our legislation, and finally demonstrate how this would benefit our community. For the budget of 2016 to 2017, they did approve $1.4 billion operating budget. So then we have the two different things that go into the operating budget. The main operating budget does include utilities, transportation, salaries, benefits, and the capital budget includes renovation and constructions for our new schools. Believe it or not, even though 80% of the money that goes into the budget goes to our salaries and benefits, North Carolina is actually 41st for average teacher pay. And CMS is actually the 18th largest school district in the nation. So that says a lot about our teachers. CMS is funded by 3 different sources. We do have the county funding, which accounts for 30% of our funds. County funding includes the property tax for both business and personal homes, sales tax and fees. And then state funding is more than half of the funding. It's 57%. The amount does come from sales and beautiful income taxes, right? So federal does make up the remaining 12% with, yet again, taxpayer funds. So Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools per pupil funding is $9,025, and that's how much it was in 2015. The expected change in 2016 is $9,396, according to our superintendent and Clark. If we calculate this correctly, we can multiply the amounts for the 1,192 students that didn't graduate in 2015, meaning that we spent $10.8 million on those students alone. Please keep in mind that this figure does not represent those that are in grades 9 through 11 that also had to repeat a grade. This is just for the seniors. According to the Charlotte Observer report by Mitch Huffman, the CMS superintendent had actually asked for an additional $10 million from the county to give to our teachers as a salary raise and to fund more charter schools for the overpopulation. We can clearly see where we would have gotten that additional funding from because it was denied. So statutes that define free public education should be amended. High school students should be responsible for flunking. We do all recall that beautiful Bush administration of 2008, where we had the No Child Left Behind Act, which was supposed to be for improving education. The No Child Left Behind Act, I'm certain that you guys have seen it on your handbooks when you were going through CMS. It's actually flawed. First, because they didn't create any national or curricular standards, so it's not standard nationwide, which is because it's a state power. You can't regulate it nationally. It does require 100% of high school students to meet proficient levels of knowledge. High school students, 100%, that's really not feasible. Okay, so schools, they're used to giving us such a big curve on our standardized tests now because they want to push everyone through, because if they don't meet these standards, they will be punished. There will be less funding for the schools, and eventually they could shut down. We just had Wilson Middle School shut down and start all over again not too long ago. So tuition is free for grades K through 12 as long as you're eligible. I'm not suggesting that we change that. In an ideal world, I believe that a well-thought formula calculating the expenses spent for classes failed should be billed to the student once they reach the legal age. According to North Carolina General Statute Section 115C through 100, a pupil's parents or legal guardians, they can be charged for damage fees for abuse or loss of textbooks under rules adopted by the State Board of Education. So theoretically speaking, damage fees for the abuse of the free education system, textbook included, could easily be implemented. So when you're in college, if you're awarded some scholarship or Pell Grants, a lot of people are awarded Pell Grants, and that's just a sum of money that they get to help pay for their college tuition. You don't normally have to repay that, but they do have certain requirements. You can't drop your classes, you have to make satisfactory academic progress, you have to attend school regularly, and you also have to sign up for enough courses. So this is just a mere reflection of what I have proposed as an implement to our Charlotte Mecklenburg schools to prepare them for what is to come. Psychologically speaking, I know that this is a form of punishment. It's to negatively react to something in order to refrain from future behavior. The idea is not to financially benefit directly from the money that we receive, but to reduce necessary spending just because a student isn't willing. Over the course of time, students will avoid debt by passing their classes, producing a more educated generation. Strong public schools can positively impact housing values. High school graduates can earn more and contribute to individual prosperity and economic growth. According to a study funded by State Farm in 2010, 53,800 North Carolinians did not graduate. They said that if half of those students would have graduated, the economy would have benefited by $211 million in increased earnings, $168 million in increased home sales, $25 million in auto sales, and 1,900 new jobs for the state alone. Overcrowding is not just because of population growth. I know Charlotte is a big city, but it's also caused when students have to repeat grades. This is practically stealing from the other children. It is unfair to them to have such big student-to-teacher ratios just because those students decided they didn't want to pass their classes and had to stay back a grade. In conclusion, public education should be provided to those who want it. There's no need to take school for granted merely because it's free. It's a strain on the economy for us as a city, as a district, as a state, and as a nation. We should be able to delegate responsibilities to our uprising adults, to show them how empowering education truly is, that to succeed, you must work hard, to respect the money that contributes to their education, to prosper and help us become prosperous as a community together, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true definition of No Child Left Behind.